You're on 94.1 FM 3WBC with Jerry Guirguis presenting
Downtown, everything's waiting for you. Downtown.
And now here's Jerry Guirguis, 94.1 FM 3WBC, the voice of the Inner East.
Hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows downtown. Maybe you know some little places to go to where they never close. Downtown, just listen to the rhythm of a gentle bossa nova. You'll be dancing with them too before the night is over. Happy again. The lights so much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares. So go downtown, where all the lights are bright. Downtown, waiting for you tonight. Downtown, you're gonna be alright now. Downtown, downtown.
Hi and welcome to 94.1 FM 3WBC. I'm Jerry Guirguis interviewing Senior Sergeant Susan O'Connor from the South Australia Police Road Safety Centre here on 94.1 FM 3WBC downtown, Friday the 27th of October 2023. Susan O'Connor, recipient of an award from the Australian Road Safety Foundation, and that's ARS Award 14th, was actually dated on the 14th of June 2023 at Parliament House in Canberra. For her work and her team's work, the Fatal Five True Story podcast. Hi and welcome, Susan.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Now, we've also got Dr. Ray Shuey, also present because he was on the panel of judging, and we'll have a question or two. We've had Dr. Ray on our podcast several times. Hi, Ray.
Yeah, hi, Jerry. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go straight into some of the questions. Like I said, congratulations on producing a great video. It all started back in 2019, Susan, apparently, when members from the South Australian Police, SA Pol, and the Road Safety Centre got the approval to produce first true story video podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, Susan, if I can just ask to tell us about the first podcast, the true story, and apparently it's all about Nicholas.
Yeah, it was. The first one was about Nicholas. So we were looking at different ways to engage with our community in the road safety space. And for us, we have a pretty heavy emphasis on our secondary students. And we were looking for some stories that were, I guess, relatable to them, that they could actually have a look at and think, that could be me. And podcasts seemed like a good medium for us to try. We hadn't done a podcast with SAPOL before, so it was the first, from what we could see, the first road safety podcast across all of Australia. So unfortunately for us, there's lots of families that have stories about losing someone in a road crash, but we did meet up with the Holbrooks. Glenys and Michael were the parents of Nicholas, and Nicholas died in a car crash on the 11th of June 2009 at West Lakes here in South Australia. He had gotten into a vehicle with his mate, and they'd taken off from the traffic lights, and the driver, Philip Wright, had taken off at speed, and the roads were wet. He lost control of the vehicle and the car crashed into a tree. He survived the crash, but by the time they got to hospital and started surgery, he died on the operating table, and his parents were woken up in the middle of the night to find out that their son was in a critical condition, and by the time they got to the hospital, he had passed away. So we worked with the family really closely. I guess it's difficult when you're telling these stories you're respectful of the family that are involved in it. You want to make sure that you do the best by them to tell the story. We worked with the first responders who were on the scene, including police officers, SA ambulance service members, and also some of the fireys who had also attended from the Metropolitan Fire Service. We got access to the 000 calls that were called in from witnesses to the crash, and also our radio transmissions from the night. So all of that put together was made into a podcast, which told the story of, I guess, the events of that night. And it was released on the 10th anniversary of Nick's death, so 10 years after, which I guess just showed, I guess, the impact of how much a road trauma crash has on family, friends, witnesses still 10 years later. So when we're contacting these people and saying, do you mind being involved, or we want to use your voice recording that was a 000 call, it's a big thing for them to come back 10 years later and, I guess, relive it and have those conversations around that crash again. So we were really lucky with this, that Philip Wright, who was the driver of the vehicle who killed Nicholas, was willing to be involved in the process as well. So actually having the person who caused this crash be willing to speak on camera and be recorded and be involved in our road safety campaign was just amazing. And I'm forever grateful that both the family and Philip and everyone involved were able to jump on board and share their story with us. It's made a huge impact into how we deliver sessions to our secondary students. And they are played, snippets of the podcast and associated videos to get that messaging across.
The second and the third podcast, the second one involved Crystal, and the third podcast was Byron. Can we elaborate a little bit about them, please, Susan?
Yeah, so what we learned from the first ones was that while the podcast was a great medium to get out, videos also worked really well. So we decided to film the second and third podcasts as we were recording them, made for, I guess, just different ways to get the messaging out. So they are located on our YouTube, Safe Holes YouTube channel, and we still put the audio versions out as well. So Crystal's crash was a regional crash. She was, again, another young person who was at uni studying. She was at her family's holiday shack. She was driving back by herself on the weekend of the 18th of April, so it was around the time of Easter, and she pulled out in front of a truck on a, I guess, notorious country road here in South Australia. There was no reason. She wasn't on her phone. She wasn't drink driving. She just literally didn't see the truck for whatever reason and pulled out, and the truck driver couldn't stop. So she died at the scene, but unfortunately her father, Steve, was watching the news and saw his daughter's car on TV, and that's how he found out about the crash. So he rang a good mate of his, Superintendent Scott Denny, who was in charge of the local service area where the crash happened. And there was obviously conversation around, the fact that it was Crystal's car, and, the situation was quite dire. So Crystal's crash was, I guess, for young people, they saw themselves in her as they did with Nick. It was, two young people who died, in their late teens, early 20s, in the prime of their life, doing what they loved doing. She was at uni studying to be a nurse. And then Byron, cyclist, and he died he was our first road fatality for 2021 on the 1st of January. He was riding out an early morning ride with a mate, and a drug driver who had drugs in his system pulled out onto the wrong side of the road and missed his good friend Jeff, and then hit Byron, and he too died at the scene. So again, that podcast was instigated because his daughter's a SA ambulance paramedic. So she wanted to be involved in something to share her dad's story. So he was a GP, much loved member of the community. And again, senseless death for someone who was on drugs when they shouldn't have been driving on our road.
The stories is really heartbreaking. All of them are. If I can just go to the reason why I'm putting these my podcast and in engaging with your great efforts and your team and the centre, is that because it's all about, putting it out there, awareness and interest. And I know very well that in the UK in 2014, they had similar product called it was called Heart, and I've gone blank on the Heart program. And it was all to do about how do we get awareness about motorbike. And I know that it's the look after the motorbikes and be aware of motorbikes in Australia, 10 years later. But 2014, I remember listening to a famous comedian talking about and putting a voiceover to the story about, look out for motorbikes at junction. And that was, it did a great job. It was simple into actually compiling an audio, a story. It was a national event. So we're talking about great efforts that are being put together, produced to get the results. And what we want to do is reduce the serious injuries and fatalities in Australia. We don't care where it's sourced, where the idea comes in, and how it is tangible to the current reality of where we're at. Something might have happened 10 years ago, mightn't happen again, and it mightn't work again. But I know that looking out for motorbikes is very, very relevant, even though it was 10 years ago. And it was like 3 podcasts. One was talking about the daughter, son, and the father or something dying on the motorbike because it was at a junction. But I'm talking about something that is being put together, and it pulled the strings, and people, the community, listened to it. The other thing that complements how we're community involvement, of course, if I may ask Ray here, it's all recognition. If we recognise something that is working well, then we applaud it. And if I may, Ray, if I'll just ask the question to you, sir, let's talk about your part of it, and that is the true story. Tell us, being one of the judges on the night, you chose the Senior Sergeant Susan podcast to be a winner. Tell us, some of the things that actually, became prevalent in that you got them to got Susan's and her team to win.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jerry. Well, the things that the judges are looking for is innovation, initiative, and see if the products or initiatives can be replicated in other jurisdictions as well. As you know, we receive many submissions from all over Australia, from all types of disciplines, some from police, some from councils and other road safety professional areas. So we look first at the initiative and see what the community reach is. And this is one thing that stood out pretty strongly, the fact that you can put a message out that is heartwarming, heartfelt, and deeply hitting home to any member of the community, whether they be young or old. So we look for that reach to see whether it is actually touching base at community level. We also see whether it's been evaluated and what type of evaluation is done and how successful it has been. So basically, if we've got an activity or product or road safety initiative, that equally can be replicated in Victoria, Queensland, Northern Territory, wherever, with a similar type of heartfelt message, then of course big tick comes. So that's to the credit of Susan and her team. So well done.
Absolutely, and I also applaud you as well for being part of. Now we said that it was the Innovation Program Award at the Australian Road Safety Awards 2023, which was actually held at Parliament House in Canberra. So again, congratulations for all of that. We know that South Australian Police Minister attended this event, as well as South Australian Road Safety Commissioner. Ray and/or Susan, if you know of other commissioners or police ministers attended that event.
Well, I was lucky that Minister for Police here in South Australia, Joe Sucker, come with me and attended the event. So I'm not sure about any other states, but I was lucky that our police minister was represented at the event.
Yep. Ray?
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I think there are an absence of some of the key ministers around the nation. We did have a couple from Canberra attending as part of the formal process and providing speeches and support. But this is what we'd like to see across the nation when people are in line for an award, that they be supported by their key executives or key personnel around the nation. And it's important to be transferable across the nation if we can, to share the same type of thing, because equally the same applies in Queensland or any other states as well. The same sad stories come forward, and it just needs a team effort to put it together and dedication to actually achieve something and get some road safety outcomes.
Susan, I know that on social media there was a recent a page that was put up about teaching young learners, drivers to be familiarised, and there's a new program that's been put out there, and one of the projects or tasks was actually to sit and watch the Fatal Five story. And I just saw that and I said, oh, absolutely fantastic. It's something that's now been engaged, being part of the education program that's been rolled out in South Australia.
Yeah, we're lucky. Our reach here in South Australia. So Crystal's, the second podcast featuring Crystal stories, had a reach of 639,000 views on our Safe Hole YouTube channel, with Byron's at about 90,000 at the moment. So it's amazing that I think that just that video, if you haven't watched it, and I myself and my team were at that filming of that video, but to sit in a room, it's bad enough watching Crystal's dad, tell the story about losing his daughter, but I sat in that room with her, probably 8 of her closest girlfriends, and to watch them silently break whilst talking about the fact that she will never be at their weddings, she's never going to be at any of those events, they've gone through all of their schooling together, they were going through uni together. It's just heartbreaking to watch people share those stories, and unfortunately this is one story in too many stories for this year for us in South Australia and across Australia as a whole. People ask us what an acceptable number is for lives lost, and for us the answer is always 0. I'm not sure yet how we need to keep coming up with innovative programs and ideas and try and have the solution, I guess, to the problem. But we're really lucky that we are able to show snippets of all of these podcasts either in an audio format or a video format in our road safety sessions, and that's the message that's getting out to our year 10, 11, 12 students, and it's also played in our community sessions that we do to business groups and community groups as well. So the reach is quite huge. Anyone can go and view the entire video on our YouTube channel, but again, we're showing it daily in our road safety sessions as well.
You did mention, and I'm very, very excited about the audio because of the radio program, of course, that I do, community radio. And there's a difference in, of course, if it's a podcast, the video as such, to an audio, and it needs to be, and it is scripted differently. However, the story, the true people are still the same. And they're not actors. It's their story, but it has to be sort of explained to the listener a little bit carefully. Can we get our hands on? Can I get my hands on those audios?
Yeah, so all of the links are on our Safe Hole website. If you just type in Safe Hole podcast, it'll take you to the page and you'll be able to find all of the links to the SoundCloud clips as well as the YouTube clips for the videos.
Excellent. That is so good because, like I said earlier on, I ran with the English version of the campaign was I didn't see, and a stop and look and take time once, twice, 3 times to look for a motorbike. But it's not just motorbikes. We are trying to holistically reduce the serious injuries and fatalities. If I can just also make a note, and I suppose this is a big hope on my behalf and a big wish that in the interest of our citizens' road safety, it's my duty again as a community broadcaster to build the awareness, interest, and the desire to get our state police ministers to look at these podcasts and action some of their directives as to what to do with it and how it can help to reduce the serious injuries and fatalities. I'm told that the Australian New Zealand Police Advisory Agency, ANSPA, that's the acronym, are holding a police conference coming up between the 9th and the 10th of November this year. And I'm really hoping that the Fatal 5 True Story Safety podcast will be discussed at the state's police by the representatives at ANSPA.
Unfortunately, I don't have a seat at that table. It's usually a higher rank than me that get those sort of events and discuss that. But yeah, you're right. I hope those sort of things are discussed. And there's lots of good innovative programs being run across Australia by lots of great organisations, including police at different jurisdictions. So it would be great if that is forefront and everyone's discussing it.
Look, I will complete our chat by saying thank you ever so much for allocating the time and winning. Congratulations on winning the award. And thirdly, putting it up there. Yeah. You gotta hold it. You just gotta hold it in front of you because it's all transparent. There we go.
Probably, yeah. We're really lucky. This is the second one we've won. So we won one for our school holiday program too in 2020. So we've been blessed by being acknowledged for the programs that we put forward. So it's lovely.
Fantastic. To Dr. Ray Shuey, thank you so much. I know just recently, as yesterday or the day before, you were admitted to hospital. We wish you all the speed recovery. And I do want to thank you for making the effort to appear on our podcast today. So again, best wishes on your health. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. And once again, congratulations, Susan.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk some more soon. And hopefully, if you can send me the link, please, to the audio that I can share with most of our listeners on our regular basis. Bye now.
No worries.